another nonfiction book for you guys. This one I'm really excited about. So this is a book filled with 100 facts about the coral reef, and it's by Miles Kelly. I picked my favorite facts out of here that I'm going to read for you guys today, okay? All right. So it starts out saying that coral reefs are the rainforest of the sea. Beautiful coral reefs lie beneath the sparkling surfaces of sapphire blue seas. Although they only take up a tiny amount of the space in the world's oceans, coral reefs contain more than 1/4, so that's 1 out of 4, of all types of sea creatures that are home to billions of animals and plants. Coral reefs are among the Earth's most precious places, but they are in grave danger of disappearing forever. What are coral reefs? Coral reefs are ocean habitats, homes, that are made by the creatures that live inside them. Tiny coral animals called polyps live together in huge numbers, known as colonies. They can grow for thousands of years, building reefs that can measure up to more than 2,000 kilometers long. Number 3. Reefs are home to many animals and plants. Together, the reef and all things living in it make up an ecosystem. Coral reefs are home to one of the most varied ecosystems in the world and are thriving, colorful places that burst with life. Coral reefs have been around for at least 230 million years. They are among the oldest ecosystems in the world. Despite their great age, coral reefs do not appear to have changed very much this time. Coral reefs haven't changed much over the last 100 million years. Coral polyps that lived in the same time as dinosaurs, around 100 million years ago, are very similar to those alive today. The oldest coral in the Great Barrier Reef, Australia, is called Oporites. It is about 1,000 years old. Throughout time, extinctions, which is the dying out of a particular type of animal or plant, have occurred. The largest mass extinction happened around 250 million years ago. Many reef-building corals died out at this time, to be replaced by other types that evolved thousands or even millions years later. So even like plants and the coral reef in the ocean, that can go extinct too. Let's see. Coral reefs can grow so large that it's possible to see them from outer space. It is only the outer parts of a reef that are alive. The parts beneath the surface are dead, made up from billions of stony cups that once housed living coral polyps. So when the coral dies, more coral grows on top of it. That's pretty interesting. Islands of fire. The coral reefs of Hawaii are unlike any others found on Earth. They have formed around a string of islands called an archipelago that developed when volcanoes erupted in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Hawaii is about 3,200 kilometers from any large landmass, which means that these are the world's most isolated groups of islands. That means that they're the farthest away from a big piece of land. And we talked about islands and volcanoes and Hawaii when we did our animal research project. Volcanoes began to erupt in this area 70 million years ago, and they're still active today. As lava cooled and turned to stone, corals began to grow on their edges. The first polyps must have arrived as free-swimming piranhas, probably from other Pacific reefs. Around 10,000 endangered humpback whales visit Hawaii every year. They arrive at the warm tropical waters in the winter after swimming all the way from feeding grounds in Alaska. While in Hawaii, the whales give birth to their young and care for them. They can be seen swimming, playing, and even battling with one another on the coral reefs. I wonder if our diver expert, Kendall, has seen any of these humpback whales since she lives in Hawaii. Coral fish come in beautiful patterns and brilliant colors. Good looks are important for their survival. Red colors appear dark in water, stripes provide camouflage, and spots can confuse predators. Blue and yellow fish look bright to us, but they are hidden on the reef. The way sunlight is reflected off of coral reefs affects the appearance of blues and yellows, making them blend in with the background. I didn't know that. That's a really interesting fact. Coral reefs help to support local communities through tourism. Many people flock to the world's reefs to enjoy nature's underwater spectacle. The money they spend there helps support local people who provide accommodation, so like places to live, food, and equipment. Reefs are worth much more alive than dead. While one shark could be killed and sold for food, it is worth at least 100 times more alive as an attraction to reef tourists. So they're talking about how it's really important to take care of the reef so tourists can come. This is like what Kendall does. She takes people to be able to see things and dive in the water and see things that maybe they haven't seen before. Coral reefs are fragile ecosystems that are under threat from humans. So threat means like we have to be careful because we can maybe hurt them. When they are stressed, coral polyps lose their zooanthellae and die. Once the polyps have died, the coral structure that is left appears white and is described as bleached. Pollution, such as human waste, sewage, and chemicals used in farming, kills coral. In some places, pipes carry sewage to the sea where it mixes with the seawater. Sewage contains substances that feeds seaweeds but bleach coral. On land, chemicals are used to help crops grow or kill pests, but they get carried into the sea by rainwater and rivers, where they damage the reef and its inhabitants. Tourists enjoy reefs, but they also put them at risk. Visitors put pressure on local ecosystems because they need food, transport, and places to stay, which means that pollution, fishing, and building happens. Some tourists damage reefs by standing on them or touching them, by buying wildlife souvenirs such as coral jewelry. And Kendall talked about this when we did our video with her. She talked about how whenever she takes people underwater or she dives with them, you're not allowed to touch anything. You can get really close, but you can't touch anything because you don't want to hurt them. So conserving coral. Saving our coral reefs is incredibly important. We need to protect them, or it is likely that they will become the first major ecosystem to become extinct in modern times. Setting up national parks and stopping all forms of fishing means that reefs can develop naturally. All parts of a coral reef ecosystem need to be protected. Removing one part, such as a single type of fish, can have terrible effects on other animals and plants that live there. Supporting local people as they find alternative ways to make money and find food, rather than relying on reefs, is an important step forward. Scientists believe many coral reefs can be saved if they are protected now. Pollution is one of the biggest coral killers, and removing it could have an immediate effect on reef survival. This would give us more time to tackle the big problem of global warming, which may take many years. Wow. So after reading this nonfiction book, what do you think the author's purpose was? We talked yesterday about how with nonfiction, oftentimes the author's purpose is to inform. But I think in this case, they're trying to persuade us to do something about the coral reefs. They talked a lot about how the coral reefs are dying and they're endangered, so it's really good to protect them and the protective measures that people have been taking. So the author's purpose of this book was not only to inform, but to persuade you to do something and to be mindful about the coral reef and the things that you can do to protect it. All right, see you tomorrow, guys.